Globally, 1 in 3 women have experienced physical violence as well as sexual violence at least once in their life. Today, we have Dr. Aldos Verghese, Assistant Professor, Alliance University. Sir, sir, what is gender-based violence and why is it important to talk about today's violence that has been happening in the society?
We believes that we are in a very safe and secured place.
Yes.
But still, most of the countries, even India, we can find a lot of violence against, especially it is based on the gender is happening in our own society, especially violence against the woman. When I'm talking the woman, it's include girl children and adolescents, younger women and elder women. So all of them are facing different kind of violences, one way or another way. As an example, based on the NRCB's 2022 data and the present data we anticipated, because 2025's data did not come yet, around 26,000 plus rapes already happened in the last year of our country. So 26,000 is not, it's a very magnificent number. It's very fearful. It's a dreadful. That means in every day, in every hour, one of the woman, one of our girl child out there is facing an attack, a different form of violence she is faces. So it's very important to talk it now, because we have to stop it. Enough is enough. Our women suffered a lot, but still the violence against women is happening in different forms, in the different levels of the and different layers of the society.
So when we talk about violence, it's not only about the gender violence but also about the domestic violence. So why do you think such violence prevail only over women?
No, violence is prevailing in our society, but violence against the woman is happening very frequently, and the normal violence, just like caste conflicts or religious conflicts, have another dimensions. But the violence against the woman is also it's happening in every day, and it is part of our society. So though we are modernizing, we are developing, but still these patriarchal ancient roots are still running in our blood. So this patriarchal dominance, this structure that we are living, that itself designed the scope for the violence against the woman. So some of the times when I talk about some of my field work, the women who faces the violence never understood that what they are facing is the
Yes.
domestic violence or the any form of violence. They're conditioned with it. So when we are talking about the violence against the woman, so we have to address it very particularly, violence against the woman. We have to divide it into two types. One is gender based common violence, then another one what is happening in the house, domestic violence. So we all feel that home is very safe place, very safe and secure place, but inside the home women are facing lot of issues. So it's from the marital relations, women are facing lot of issues, because in Indian context, especially South Asian context, padi is deva, oh, husband is god, outdated concept but still prevailing us. So that means husbands or our society itself believes husbands have the right over the woman's body, but it is not. We are talking about the body autonomy of the woman. Maybe in the second wave of the feminism, it's start talking about the autonomy of the body of women especially. That means women should have the responsibility over their bodies, not their husband, not their parents. But still, we are not ready to
Yes.
accept that autonomy. We are still thinks that husband have the right over the woman's body. That's why they think that beating wife is casual. It's a part of marital life, but it is not. So that's why we should address this particular issue. Especially, there are a lot of domestic violence happening even under noticed. So, as an example, very recently there was a murder, oh sorry, suicide happened in Kerala. Uh, and before she commits suicide, she wrote a long letter which talks about how she was treated or mistreated by her husband. And she was asking the help from her father, but father told that state, it's part of life. But after she committed the suicide, this her father came with the tears of crocodile. My daughter got a lot of beaten, but he could have come before the inevitable happens. So our system, that's why I'm talking, our system itself designed or give the scope for the domestic violence, which is we are not talking a lot. So in the marital relations, this violence is happening. Even in the from the parents, the children are facing a lot of violences. And the one violence which we are not talking about is the malnutrition of the girl children, especially in the rural India. So in the rural India, especially in the rural India, we considered children are the workforce. If there is a food, the protein contented food will given to the children, and the girl children will not get such a kind of foods. So this malnutrition particularly exists in the girl children of the rural areas. Of course, poverty is the one of the reason, but then even still they think that okay, this is enough for the girls. That's also a under noticed violence that we are facing. Apart from that, there are a lot of domestic violence happening. It's include the sexual assault or the rape or such kind of molestation from their own cousins, their own brothers, their own relatives, which they are not able to talk a lot because of the relations, because of the that stigma. Outside the family, again, we can find a lot of violence against the woman, and one of the main reason is this patriarchal mindset. They think that woman is not equal to the men. Maybe you heard about the acid attack.
Yes.
So one of the reason of the acid attack, that these men or these called the lovers, they are not able to accept the rejection. So they think that once they propose to the girl should say yes. So they are not accepting the freedom of the girl should say no. So they are not ready to take that no. And if they got that no, they think that this girl is rejected me because she is beautiful. So instead of killing, they are coming for her beauty, so-called beauty. Yes. Again, there is a lot of debate we can have about what is beauty. So they are using the acid, or they are pouring the acid on the face of the woman. It's not intended to kill her, but damage her beauty, because his male ego, the so-called toxic masculinity, was hurted. Because how she can reject me? I proposed. It's your, you should accept me. But so, though we are a democratic society, our democracy is basically limited in the pollings or when this election comes. Again, that another topic for another day. But still, democracy is actually work in everyday life. So these men should have the ability or mentality to take the no, but they are not ready to take the no. That's why the acid attacks. Then rapes are two types. Actually, sometimes rapes are very political. Through the rape, they want to establish that dominance over the women body. So that's why even when genocides happens, you can find a lot of rape raids are happening. So through the rape, they are also trying to conquer the another society. So it's again patriarchal setup. So the patriarchal mindset saying that if one community's women were attacked by the men of another community, so it's itself, the act itself not questioning the woman's integrity, it's also questioning that community's moral. It's so women were attacked by such different reasons. Then rape is very common in Indian culture. Then other attacks like acid attacks, molestations, sexual comments, abusives. And now if you open the digital space, you can find digital lynching, digital stalking, harassment a lot. So like if a girl wear a dress which she likes, and if it is against the so-called cultural norms, then people will make a lot of bad comments. And we call them online brothers. So they are acting as a brothers in the online space, and they will give such wonderful lesson teaching, like how can you wear, did you remember your parents, how your parents think if you wear such a kind of dress, who are they? Yes. So these all one way or another way connected with our patriarchal and religiosity. So this extensive religious impact and extensive patriarchalism still running our veins. That's why this much violence against the woman exists in our country.
Well, so when we talk about violence, there is also gender-based violence as well as domestic violence. So how do you differ both the violence, like gender-based violence and domestic violence, or are they connected to each other?
See, domestic violence is part of the gender-based violence. So in the gender-based violence, we are just talking about the all kind of attack against the womanhood can be considered as the gender-based violence. And as a subsection, we are give extra focus on the domestic violence because even in the house, women are not safe. Even in the home, women are not safe. So again, there was a very recently a 3-year-old child was raped by the father's brother from the one of the southern state. So whom you can trust, or where woman is safe, where is the safety, how a person can live a secure life if. So that's why we just focused on the domestic violence, because even they are not safe on the houses. That's why we give the special importance of the domestic violence, and especially the marital relation. This domestic violence is part and parcel of it. That's why nowadays you can see women are not ready to marry, and men are suffering to get the woman or to marry, but women are not ready because they knew a lot of stories about the marital or the domestic violences, and this dominance they can't accept. So that's why we give the special importance on the domestic violence, but both are connected, both are same. From the based on the gender based violence, it is there, this domestic violence is implied, but we give the special attention to the domestic violence because of that seriousness and the trauma that getting the women. Like you just think about a child, maybe 6-year-old or 7-year-old child. If that particular child is molested by her own cousin brothers or the relatives, then what kind of trauma she has? How this particular person can trust a new person in his or her entire life? So even in the domestic violence, we can find the attack on the men or the children, but still we have to focus on the woman or the girl's child's issue because of its magnitude and its reason. So reason is the structure itself.
So what are the most common forms of gender-based violence?
Again, it starts with the molestation, stalking. These are the okay. Blood is not spit here, but still we can find the stalking, molesting, or even digital stalking, bad comments, abusive comments, and this gaze. We can call this word called the male gaze. This male gaze is very it's very arrogant. It's very difficult to survive such things. Even when we were in college times, we will tell some boys their gazing is too much. But these are the some issues. But there are very serious issues. That's we start with the rape. Rape is very serious issue, I'm frankly says. So rape has different meanings. Sometimes it's just conquered the woman's body. Sometimes it's destroying the other communities' moral itself. So it has political too. So other violences are just a violence against the another person, but the rape is not just like that. Rape is very political. You may think that a woman was raped by another guy. It's not just a crime. Rather, it's a highly political crime. So it's not just a conquering of another person's body. Rather, it is a political conquering. Like that woman, sometimes we prefer death than the rape, because that is the if a person is facing that particular act, that is the most vulnerable moment. She lost all her capacity on her body, and she is facing one of the very dangerous crimes. So that's why we even consider rape is very serious crime. It's very political. It has multiple intentions. Just like maybe if a woman activist is facing an rape, it has a hidden message to all the women activists too. This is your future. So stop your activism. So we can face death, but it's very difficult to face such a kind of act. So rape is one of the very serious issue, and child molestations is also very serious issue, because there are a lot of child molestations and child rape is happening. Of course, these laws are sometimes using or weaponizing against the men, but it is happening. This weaponizing against the men is also a serious issue, but we can forget, or we can discuss later. But the issue of the woman, these children is very serious, and even still we banned the child marriage, but still it is happening. We banned the Hyderabad marriage. You may heard about. These children were sold to the business people of the foreign groups. So such things, but still it is prevailing. So child marriage is still prevailing in the different forms, and all such things are very aggressive in nature. So these are the very serious issues. Different kind of attacks on the womanhood is happening, but the very serious one is the rape. Apart from the rape, this molestation, stalking, murder, domestic violence, all these things are happening. We cannot make a hierarchy, but the very serious issue is the rape.
When we also talk on rape, we can also find that rapes on dead bodies, 6 months old kids, and it's non-stop, sir. So we can't say that rape is still not happening. And also, when we talk about the violence, domestic violence, so how do you define as a domestic violence, and how do you say that why is it even introduced?
Definition is very, how we define it is very difficult process, but still, if first you have to define what is domestic space. So sometimes in the domestic space we are giving the importance to the husband and wife relations. So we still consider this is the one of the very serious relation. So societies cannot survive without that too. So that's why husband and wife should, that equality, the idea about the equality and democracy should come to the domestic spaces. If this democracy and the idea about the, if husband is very democratic in nature or wife is very democratic in nature or both of them are very democratic in nature, then there is no space for the violence, because then there should be a ideological debates. Even for purchasing one small thing there might be the discussion, something will happen. But when it comes to the husband and wife relation, it's highly patriarchal in nature. So how we define the domestic space, that is the first question. So first we are focusing on the husband and wife relation, then we are talking about our nuclear family like husband, wife and children. In the third layer we are considering cousins and parents, because violence is happening in all these three layers. So first our concern is husband and wife relation, or the any kind of, I won't say that the traditional marriage, if two people who are living together in the same space, that considered as a domestic space, and any violence happening in that space we have to consider it as a domestic violence, especially husband's violence against the woman, wife. Vice versa is also happening, we have the measures to tackle it, but that is very rare cases. So this, we cannot take these rare cases and excuses to question the existing laws, because we define the domestic violence because it's very frequently happening. But apart from the husband and wife relations, we are also looking into the children, because children are not safe in the house. Maybe children are safe with the father and brother, but that in an ideological case we have a lot of our cases against in that space, but relatives are one of the common enemies here. So there was a statistics which says most of the children faces different form of the domestic violence from their relatives, irrespective of their gender. So when we talk about the males or the boys or girls, they have different sexual advantages from their cousins or their relatives. So it's happening. So that's why we give the very specific attention here, because they cannot open up, or even they open up, their parents won't listen much.
Sir, how the villain of the law in gender-based violence becomes a hero, and what are the policies measure you would like to suggest?
So society, now we can find this patriarchy, the system of patriarchy is destroying by itself, because of the education, because of the democratizing of the society, because of the urbanization, because of the migration, because of the, we are actually evolving, or our human psyche is developing. So the patriarchy is diminishing. So people want to protect it, especially the people who enjoyed the patriarchy, especially this power. So why I am talking about the patriarchy means it doesn't mean that only men are holding the power. Both men and women have some beneficiaries out of it. So these beneficiaries are little bit scared. So they want to protect it. So whenever this violence happens against the woman, especially the woman who violate certain cultural norms, then they actually committed the crime, but these criminals are actually celebrated by the society. As an example, the if there was a honor killing happens, the culprits always treated as a heroes, because they did something, because maybe the culprit means it might be the father or the brother. So if father may kill his own child, his own daughter, because she is going to marry someone outside the caste, so she is going to destroy the caste, some caste pride. So now the father, for protecting the caste pride, he is killing his own daughter. What a sacrifice. It's a crime. but society is celebrating or looking into the very different perspective and celebrate this guy. And it is happening everywhere. Or the acid attacks. Even in the acid attack case, the criminals may not get the public support, but inside they are getting something. Or if some woman who wear the modern dress, or who are showing some kind of, who is just living their life with their own freedom, and if such women were under attack, again these attackers will be celebrated, because when this society have some traditional norms and values, they're saying it's a values, and if this attack in the name of protecting such a kind of norms or values, though they are doing the crime from the perspective of law, but still they are facing lot of they got lot of acceptance in the society. They are become the heroes of the society, though they did the crime. And our actual problem is the patriarchy, and actual problem of the mindset that resides ourself. And the real cause of this violence, gender-based violence, is we are still not ready to accept the concept of equality and democracy. Still we are like this hierarchical society. We need that system. So that's why these violences are all exist. So as a policy recommendation, we have the short-term policy recommendation, but for the long-term recommendations, we have to educate our next generation. We have to teach the actual value of the democracy and the equality. So this democracy, equality, or the social justice, these are not just concepts when it comes out of your house. It should be practiced inside the house. The father in the relation, the democracy and equality should be in the relation of husband and wife. It should be prevail in the relation between husband and parents and children. And we have such a kind of teaching mechanism. So our educational pedagogy itself should restructured. Then only the children or the students or the next generation can understand what is democracy and how we have to respect to other opposite gender, and how we have to take the no's. This is the long-term run. So as a policy recommendation from my perspective, we have to restructure this entire educational system itself, where both men and women are treated equal. Then only we should make a good society where our women should be safe.
Thank you, sir. We are privileged to have you here and have a wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.